Hey ladies and gentlemen, Richard Kenobi here, and I'm back again to give my thoughts on the next Death Battle / the Season 2 finale of Death Battle, and this is one we've all been waiting for a long time. The Emerald Archer, Green Arrow, versus Marvel's biggest archer, Hawkeye. Now then, I just want to state right now, before I give you my reasons why I'm going for Green Arrow and why he will win this match, regardless of what hardcore Marvel fans say, let me point out right now, in every medium so far, Green Arrow has been kicking Hawkeye's ass on a daily basis. He beat him in Marvel Comics and DC crossover. He beat him in Fan Wars, which is a Stan Lee World of Heroes project where they settle debates in courtrooms around superheroes and anime characters. And he beat him in a minute matchup. And he beat him, of course, in Clever Movies Fan Wars. It's not called that, but I'm sure it's called something else. And finally, he beat him in Variety Comics. So yes, he has had a winning streak going for a long time. Now, I'm not going to bother telling you their backstories because you already know Green Arrow's backstory if you've read the comics or if you've seen the Arrow TV show, like I have. But I hated Season 3 though. And of course, if you just know Green Arrow overall. But I will not bother getting into Clint Barton's backstory because I feel you need to hear Death Battle's version of it. So I'm just going to tell you what these two characters can do, and at the end, why Hawkeye can't match up. Now, warning, if you are a hardcore Marvel fan, don't take this personally. I am a Marvel fan myself. My friend Reckless Witch, he recently stated that he would choose Marvel over DC, and I'm fine with that. But I'm just going to tell you why I think this is cut and dry. And I do have Marvel Blu-rays in my cabinet right there. So, yeah. So, of course, let's go ahead and get to their marksmanship. So, of course, Green Arrow, while trapped on an island by himself, forced to survive for 5 years, he crafted his mind and his body to superhuman levels. Yes, he is superhuman. That's official. And, of course, he became fearless. He was physically strong, able to climb and lift things much heavier than an average human could. Nothing to write home about, though. And of course, mainly, he was a great marksman. Now, of course, his reflexes in marksmanship are off the chart. They are on superhuman levels. I can't even tell you how superhuman this is. Batman himself has even stated that he wouldn't even dare make fun of Green Arrow's arrows, nor his marksmanship. And of course, Green Arrow stated himself in one of his graphic novels, that he can fire 29 arrows a minute. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but for a guy who tried archery himself, that's a very lot. And here's an example of how fast that is. It's just like that. And of course, he has numerous trick arrows that he built and customized and designed himself. And, of course, were built by him, by himself, and were paid by him. Duh. Now, here's the type of arrows he has. He has regular arrows, concussive arrows, flashbang arrows, bomb arrows, match arrows, freeze arrows, grappling hook arrows, a boxing glove arrow, taser arrows, buzzsaw arrows, super poly foam arrow, which can protect him from deadly explosions, and various types of arrows. He even has an arrow that can send people to the freaking, and bear with me when I say this, he has an arrow that can send you to the Phantom Zone. But his ultimate arrow that I don't know if Death Battle will give him is his Quantum Arrow. Now, if you never saw Justice League Unlimited Season 2, there was an episode where, of course, General Eileen, the big, freakish, roided-out monster, wanted revenge on Superman for ruining Cadmus. So he went to trash and beat the shit out of non-superhumans who were superheroes who were attending a Superman parade in his place. And then he went through all of them. He beat Stargirl, he beat her father, he beat Shining Knight, the Vigilante, he beat the Crimson Avenger, and he beat Speedy, and Green Arrow. But mainly when it came down to Green Arrow and Speedy, yes, this was a Teen Titans and Justice League crossover, by the way, of course, they were down to their quantum arrows, but of course, you know, Green Arrow said this is an emergency. So what is the quantum arrow? Well, the quantum arrow, combined with Speedy's quantum arrow, it fires a electricity bola that can, when mixed together, it can create an impact blast radius and blast of a mini atomic bomb. It's literally an atomic bomb arrow. And Green Arrow survived the explosion, him and Speedy, but of course it didn't do anything against Eiling, so that is his ultimate arrow. Now, of course, Hawkeye pretty much has the same thing, except his quiver can actually customize. He can manually, or it'll automatically switch arrowheads depending on which one he needs. But as far as how many arrows he can fire, it's never really been stated. But he has said himself that his arrows can travel a lot faster. And they can travel a lot faster, but Green Arrow's arrows can actually go a lot further than he can. Now, I know you're probably going to say there have been some times where Hawkeye has been able to fire his arrows further too, but no, not as much as Oliver's can. You want an example? Here's 3 examples. The first one is in The Dark Knight Returns, which is an Elseworld story, by the way, when Oliver was at least in his mid-50s, and of course, he agreed to help Bruce take down Superman, not because he was turning evil, but because he wanted Superman to stay the hell away. So, he gave Oliver, and by the way, this Oliver lost his arm, so he only had 1 arm left, so of course, he gave him a kryptonite arrow, which took Bruce years and cost a fortune. Luckily, he had both. So, of course, while getting ready, he was being chased by SWAT teams, and of course, he was shot in one of his arms. The one he lost, by the way. So, of course, he was hanging upside down, and he fired right when it looked like, you know, Bruce had lost the battle, he told Oliver, now. And then Oliver fired the arrow, at least I would want to say maybe about 50, 100 feet away from where they were at, and he did it with his mouth and 1 arm. And it didn't kill Superman, but it went into his system. Then the second time, he's actually been able to fire his arrows in the barrel of a gun. That is something, and I repeat when I say this, Hawkeye has never done that. It's never been displayed showing that. And then finally, and this is proof most of all, Green Arrow once split a drop of water from a faucet with his arrow. I am not kidding you. And of course, you know, he is versatily trained in martial arts. He knows and has mastered 7 martial arts. He even was trained by the guy who trained Deathstroke. Yes, Slade Wilson, the Terminator. And he has, of course, gone toe-to-toe with pretty much everyone. And finally, that's pretty much it. And, of course, you got Hawkeye. Now, Hawkeye does know basic martial arts, but unfortunately for him, they don't really do much. Because when stripped of his arrows, 616 Hawkeye is useless. Because, let me tell you, he really is. You know, he can get into trouble very quickly without the use of his arrows, or sometimes his cockiness gets him into trouble. And of course, he has actually lost a martial arts fight against Green Arrow himself and Black Widow. So yeah, his martial art is weak. But, you know, he can hold himself out, but he's just, if you take away his bow and arrows, he's got nothing. Although he does have guns, but I don't think they're going to give him guns in this fight. And that's not saying Hawkeye hasn't done some crazy shit like Green Arrow has done. Now, if you want proof of what, and I know some of you are probably going to bring this up, but I'll bring it up, Ultimate Hawkeye has done something that his 616 counterpart has never done. And no, they will not use Ultimate Hawkeye in this fight, just like they didn't use Ultimate Wolverine in Raiden vs. Wolverine. Ultimate Hawkeye, when out of arrows and about to be surrounded, and I need you all to turn up your ears. Really pay attention to what I'm about to say. Alright, here you go. When surrounded, he was out of arrows, and one of the guards said, "You're out of arrows." And Hawkeye said, "You forgot my fingernails." And he said, "What?" And he pulled off his fingernail and stabbed one of the guards. And he actually kept pulling off his fingernails and shot them like arrows. I am not kidding you. Yeah. But, unfortunately, he pretty much has the same weaknesses as any other human. The same with Oliver, but Oliver is more durable, because if he was able to survive at least the blast radius of a mini atomic explosion, survive on an island for 5 years by himself, survive great falls that probably would have finished average humans like Hawkeye, and overall just done all this, then yeah, it's pretty obvious. Now, there are some edges here and there, but Hawkeye his constitution is very weak. There have been many times where he has been taken out, just like that. So, there really is no contest here. But, before you say and quote and tell me what Hawkeye could do, I'm aware of what he can do. Apologies. But it just doesn't matter. Because physically, they're both almost even, but I would hesitate to give it to Oliver because of his durability and because of his superhuman levels go beyond what Hawkeye is capable of. And as far as marksmanship goes, is there really no question? For a guy who, let's compare this, a guy who can split a drop of water the size of this versus a guy who can just use his fingernails? Yeah, the latter takes it. And, of course, a guy who can fire an arrow with one arm and fire his arrows so fast they can go into a barrel of a gun. Now, of course, Hawkeye does have his advantages, but at the same time, you know, this battle is just... Every time these two have faced each other, Green Arrow has took the victory over and over and over again. And this won't be any different. But if anything, it'll still be a good fight. I am very much looking forward to this fight. And this is probably going to be their best season finale since Goku vs. Superman. But yeah, guys, overall, those are just my opinions. Now, please note, I did not list anything else about these characters, is because I don't want to spoil your guys' decision of who you pick. But if you do want to pick Green Arrow based off what I told you, okay. But if you still think Hawkeye somewhat can defend himself, then feel free. But like I said, I prefer if Death Battle tells you these things, because it's a lot better if they tell you than I tell you. So yeah, guys, overall... if you enjoyed my thoughts on this, then please like, comment, and subscribe. And until then, guys, this is Richard Kenobi saying, may the Force be with you. Later, guys.